Hello and welcome to Learn Live Streaming Live. My name's John Lacey. Today on the show, we're going to continue this stream of doing a bit of DaVinci Resolve editing. Normally I'd have my coffee with me. I don't actually have any coffee with me right now, but I'll get some coffee once we finish here today. But I am going out live to all the various places. So if you are watching live, let me know in the chat where you're watching from, but let's just get stuck in. So this is DaVinci Resolve Studio 20. I'm going to go into my project, OBS sources. So what I've been doing is I've been creating sub-clips from a larger clip, which was the live stream, and I'm making YouTube shorts essentially. All right, so what we're going to do, let's go back into our timeline. And there's a whole bunch of stuff happening here. There's a really good chance that the place I left off here is maybe roughly where we need to be. And in fact, I might do this from the edit page today. Yep, so this is sort of the end of the last clip. And I must admit, I feel like there are lots of good tips in this particular live stream, but I don't want to make them all tips. Or I don't want to make them all shorts, essentially. But let's just have a playthrough. Let's just see what the... In fact, I'm just going to scroll through because I want to find out where the next sort of subject is. So, and as I'm is you can actually go in and if you want to go to sing, we got our channel, we have on here, and go control shift one to hide or show, and again, if someone likes it should toggle. Okay, I wasn't even going to make a clip out of this one, but I think it's actually a really good point. So let's just do it. I just want to find the beginning of this point. Because I guess what I'm describing in this particular clip is how I can create a keyboard shortcut to toggle the visibility of a source in OBS Studio. I think this is probably a bit early, but we'll start listening to it from here. So, I guess the thing that I'm kind of taking for granted here a little bit is just that you know that you can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings, and we go to our hotkeys, and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1. Okay, so let's go back to that point. I must admit, the one thing I am struggling with a little bit while doing these streams is I have keyboard shortcuts for DaVinci Resolve, I have keyboard shortcuts for OBS Studio, and depending on which window has my focus, very different things can happen. But let's go back. I think around here, not the most exciting thing in the world, but incredibly useful. All right, this essentially is my in point. So I'm going to put an in point here. For grant release, and I saw and I saw control one, and you actually on. Okay, and then we go to the color source. So I just think it's really useful to revisit the basics sometimes. So let's go to the color source. All right. So again, I don't necessarily need to be this nebulous at this point, but let's just do it. I think it's around here. All right, I'm just going to right click on this selection and I'm going to go create subclip. And then if I go to my media pool, let's go to timeline 1, subclip 8, and this will be our new project. And if you've seen any of the streams I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, you will have a sense of where we're headed with all of this. But I have many tracks of audio here that I really don't need. So I'm just gonna, and I could probably do this on the main timeline. Maybe I should do that at some point, but I will. Let's just do it here now. So I've unlinked those tracks. What I want to do, you'll see I've got a whole bunch of tracks here. Most of them are muted except the second one. I want to keep the second one. I'm going to delete all the rest of them. So I'm just holding down the control key and I'm selecting all of those. And I'm going to hit the... I think it's the delete key. We'll find out together. And if there's a problem, we can always control Z to undo. Nope. Okay, that got rid of everything. So control Z. So it's the backspace key. But again, I'm probably going to have to reselect those clips. It's sort of the joy of, I don't want that one though. Is that selected? Okay. So backspace, there we go. They're all gone except that one I wanted. And now I'm going to right click in here and go delete empty tracks because we don't need all that extra stuff. All right, let's check this out. So again, if I go to my deliver page, we'll see that this clip is 1 minute and 10 seconds, which is fine for a YouTube short. That works really well, but we might want to cut this up, make it a little bit shorter and snappier just to make it more compelling to watch. First of all, there's a bit of space here before I actually start talking. So probably around here. What I will do, I'm just go back to the edit page. I'm just going to link those clips again because I don't want to get them out of sync. And I'm going to select both of those. And again, I could cut this and ripple delete, but I can also use trim in. So I'm going to do this on the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, which is a physical keyboard that you probably would have seen in the thumbnail for this live stream. I'm just going to bring that in there. I'm going to hold the move and move it all back to the beginning. So, I guess the thing that I'm kind of taking for granted here a little bit is just that you know that you can toggle these things on and off as you need. So, I guess the thing that I'm kind of taking for granted here a little bit is just that you know that you can. All right, and again, I think I'm going to, I really want to get straight to the point, so I'm going to trim this in even further. Yep. And in this case, like it might have been easier just to delete this, but I'm just going to trim this into where my playhead is, hold down the move button, and we'll go back to the beginning. All right, cool. We go home on my keyboard. You can toggle these things. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1 to hide or show. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. But if I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, so it's funny. I've still got my Analog Lab 5 blocking my... Alright, so I actually make that point pretty quickly, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff here at the end that I don't need, so let's just go back and find out where that cut is. Yeah. Hey, so it's funny, I've got... I'd zoom out a little bit because the waveform is looking tiny, and I might actually make that a little bit bigger too. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, awesome. So again, I probably could, I could, you know, trim out as well, but in this case, I'm going to go Control B to put a breakpoint in here, and I'm just going to backspace that to get rid of it. So now our clip is 44 seconds long, which is great. And there's one tiny little clip, one tiny little tip in there, and I think that's going to work pretty well. I am really curious. I'm just going to put something in the chat on Restream. Okay, just want to make sure that's working. I did sort of inadvertently stop recording the live stream at some point, but again, it's not terribly important for these streams. These are very informal, and they're really just to hang out and do some editing. All right, so I've got the essence of my clip. I think that works really well. What I'm going to do, and again, none of this will be new if you've seen any of the other things I've done in the last little while. We're going to duplicate the screen share, which is this section. This clip is actually kind of made up of two different recordings out of OBS Studio. One's me in a vertical frame, one's me in a horizontal frame, and the horizontal one also includes the screen share. I'm just duplicating the horizontal version so I can sort of zoom in and show more of this at different points. I won't use this for the entire video, and I will sort of, I'll make cuts and I'll make it transparent just to keep the clips in sync. I could also delete them or cut them, you know, that's definitely perfectly fine. But what we're going to do, let's zoom in. And again, this is all pretty random at this point in time. When I actually want to show how this works, I will adjust this further. Although in this case, I do know that I want to sort of show the file menu. So here, I do want to see the file menu. So I am actually going to make sure that's visible. So that's kind of the very edge of my screen. All right. And we might even zoom in a little bit more. All right, let's try that. All right, so essentially I can see that. I'm not going to need this all the time, but I might need it somewhere along the line. So let's just have a quick listen to our clip and decide where we want to bring this in. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So I think around here is probably where I want to bring this in. So I'm going to break the overlay. I'm going to go back to the previous clip and I'm just going to adjust the opacity to 0. Again, you could delete that clip potentially. This is just a way of working that I've done for a really long time. I don't know why. I just find it comforting. So again, it's totally personal preference. Do whatever makes sense for you. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have... Okay, so you can see that there's some stuff on the screen that we're not seeing here. So let's go back to the beginning of this clip. So we kind of want to show this portion of the screen where we go to the file menu. So I'm going to turn on some keyframes. And I'm going to get the zoom and the position. I may not need both of them, but I do like just having them there. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings. So around here, in fact, I'm going to go back just a fraction. And I'm going to actually open up my keyframes here. And let's just go back a little bit. I'm going to copy all these keyframes. So around here, I'm going to paste them in. I'm going to move forward just a little bit. And you can literally see this dialog box sort of materializing on the screen. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to turn those keyframes on again. And we're going to have to move a little bit to the left, which is this one. Okay, and it is one of those things that I'm doing this on a keyframe where I physically can't see this because I want it to come in a little bit earlier, but let's just see what that looks like. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I think that works pretty well, but I might actually just go even a little bit further left. Yep. And I kind of, a part of me would be tempted to zoom out just a little bit. Let's try that. All right. So if we go to the file menu and we go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1, Control Shift 1 to hide or show. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. But if I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, so I guess one thing that probably isn't super obvious, although it's maybe more obvious at this point in the timeline, is that I can actually see some of the stuff behind it, which may or may not be a problem. So if I go back, let's actually just go back to where our keyframe actually is. So yeah, this what we might do, and I need to decide where I'm going to do this. I'm going to, I'll do it at the beginning of the clip. So let's adjust the Y to just bring that up. We actually don't have a lot of space to do that with, but let's just try that. So again, I'm just going to do that. So that was 80. I'm going to do this at the same point just because I don't want this to move at this point. And I'm not really sure where our next keyframe is. Okay, so it's super close. All right. So again, I'm just going to change the Y coordinate of each of these to 80. Let's see what that looks like. Keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go. I don't mind that. I think that works pretty well, but I think what I will do is I'll just drag the screen a little bit left, and we'll probably have to do that for all of our keyframes. So let's just choose a point here. Okay, so in this case, I probably don't want to do that until here. And let's just see what that looks like. So if we go to the file menu and we go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1, Control Shift 1 to hide or show. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. But if I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, I think that's all right. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. But if I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this. So I definitely want to take myself off off the screen share at this point. I may want to do it earlier as well, but let's just see what that looks like first of all. Just watch the whole clip through. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1, Control Shift 1 to hide or show. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. But if I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Let's just work on adding some other things. All right, let's go to the media pool. I'm going to add another video track. I'm going to add a couple of video tracks, in fact. I'm going to grab one of my multi-texts and let's throw this on the very top one. This is just a banner, some text that appears on the screen. So I'll say toggle sources in OBS Studio. I do kind of want that text to be a little bit larger, so we'll adjust the size. That works pretty good. I might just try. Yeah, that'll do. All right, cool. And I'm gonna add a couple of effects in here, just a couple of pushes, which is what I've done on the other videos. So we're gonna have a push transition at the beginning and a push transition at the end. The one at the beginning is just gonna push left, which is kind of the default for this particular transition. The one at the end, I actually wanna push up. And we may not need this on screen for as long as it defaults to, but we can figure that out later. That's fine. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard. All right, I think that's a bit too long. Let's maybe around here. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1, Control Shift 1 to hide or show. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. But if I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, great. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to bounce to a previous clip that a previous project that I've done previously. I'm going to copy a couple of things here. It's just an end screen for my project. I'm going to go back to subclip 8. Let's just paste this in somewhere here. Probably want to drag it towards the end. Again, we can figure out exactly where this needs to be. Yeah, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. I think that's fine. All right, cool. So a couple of extra things I want to do to this clip before we finish with it. I'm going to go up to the timeline menu. I'm going to go to AI tools. I'm going to create subtitles from audio. Again, this is a DaVinci Resolve Studio feature. This is in the paid version. I don't think you can do this in the free version. It does have an auto detection of language, but I always choose English, and I'm going to do double lines, and I'm going to hit create. It's going to do all its thing on my local computer. It's not feeding up to the cloud. It's not adding to any large language model out there in the ether, so that's sort of good for privacy and security reasons. It's really interesting because this DaVinci kind of knows that I start mid-sentence, so it's not even going to attempt to capitalize that first word. But if I click on one of these captions and I go to my subtitles section, I've got two tabs here. One is for the caption itself, which is where we go in and edit these things. And you will need to edit these things because AI isn't perfect, despite what all the marketing people tell you. But the other thing too is we've got the track options, and this sort of changes the style and position of this. And I have created a style previously, this OBS sources captions, and I'm just going to load this one in. And you'll see that moves it to the bottom of the screen. I'm just going to extend these captions so they're on screen for as long as possible. And this is just something I like to do personally. You don't necessarily need to do this. Keyboard shortcut, so I can click in here and I can go. One, one, hide show, and again, if I use the second, if I go one, I can toggle it on. I can. Well, you have a second that I do as well. Okay, cool. So now let's go back home in our project. I will go back to, I'll select this and I will go to the caption tab because I do want to change some things. I already know I need to capitalize this. You can toggle these on and off as you need them. Just gonna have a bit of a playthrough, read these captions, just see what they look like. I'm just gonna check something really quickly on my phone before I do that. Okay, so we are live. Looks like somebody subscribed in the last little while. I should press this magical button. It's probably not going to work now, because of course it won't. It's one of those things. Oh dear, that's funny. All right. Where is this magical button? Okay. Well, don't forget to subscribe if you do find this content interesting. We do a lot of live streaming. We do a lot of video creation, podcast editing, that kind of thing. And at this time of year, I'm not actually at my day job, so I have a little bit more time to come on live and do some editing. And my goal for this month, essentially, is to make 15 short clips out of this live stream. So that's what we're going to do. But again, right now, let's just check on the accuracy of these captions. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and go to settings. All right, I'm just going to capitalize the F in file and the S in settings. And we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's... And I'm going to put some quote marks around banner because that's the name of something specific. Because that's what I've called that. We have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control-Shift-1. Now this is a weird dilemma because I mean this is literally what I say, but do I want Control-Shift-1? Do I want Control-Shift and the number 1? I think I am going to do the number here actually because I think that'll make sense. Control-Shift. And I say that a second time, so again, just going to do that here. 1 to hide or show, and again, and I actually say the word 2 here, which the AI didn't capture, so I'm going to type that in. Hide or show, and again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. If I go 1, I can toggle it on. And here I'm sort of saying if I go 1, which really is Control-Shift-1, but hopefully people appreciate that, but I'll put that around in quotes. I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons. Okay, and it doesn't know what a Stream Deck is, or maybe my accent was too thick for it here, so we'll just write in Stream Deck. And again, that's a brand name from Elgato of a particular physical device, so let's capitalize that. You can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, interestingly, it says, which is really, really useful, which is literally what I said, which is awesome. Some AI transcription tools will look at things like that and go, oh, you know, that's a mistake. They only meant to say really once. And in this case, I literally meant it twice, so I kind of love that. All right, I think we're doing pretty well on this clip. I think it's all coming together nicely. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump over to the Fairlight tab, which is where we do our audio stuff. I'm going to drag the waveform out so I can see it a lot larger. And this is kind of a pedantic little thing that I sometimes do, and that is I'm just going to listen to this and see if there are like any weird breaths and stuff that I want to take out of the clip. You can toggle these things on and off as you need them. And you can actually go in and set up keyboard shortcuts for that if you want to. So if we go to the file menu and we go to settings and we go to our hotkeys and I search for banner because that's what I've called that, we have keyboard shortcuts. So I can click in here and I can go Control Shift 1 to hide or show. And again, if I use the same one, it should toggle. I guess we'll find out in a second. Okay, so just in here, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see this better. There's just some weird mouth sounds. We don't need them. So I'm going to break this clip into two places. This is the point at which I think a lot of people would actually just cut this out. But what I prefer to do is I just grab this bar and I just turn the volume down. And the reason I do that, one, is just how I've always done things. But also, I'm just worried about these things potentially getting out of sync. So if there's a clip there, there's something to sort of take its place. Well, I guess we'll find out in a second. If I go 1, I can toggle it on. I can toggle it off as well. And of course, if you have a Stream Deck, you can set up buttons to do this as well, which is really, really useful. Okay, so in the end, I only sort of adjusted one part of that audio. I think that's pretty good. I think that's going to work for us. So let's export our project. Let's get ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on the subtitle track and I'm going to go export subtitles. I haven't created a folder for this one. This is number 7. Toggle visibility of sources in OBS Studio. All right, and I'm going to call this 007. This is just my file naming system. You do whatever makes sense for you. Toggle visibility of sources in OBS Studio. This is defaulting to subtitle file SRT, which is kind of what I want, but actually what I really, really want is to go down to subtitle without formatting, which is the second option. And I'm going to save that. I'm actually going to do this a second time. And I'm going to select the same file name and I'm going to change this to VTT or Web VTT. And the only reason I do that is because sometimes I will want to upload these clips to Blue Sky, and that's the format they like. So I'm going to do that. Now let's head over to our deliver page, which is this little rocket ship at the bottom of the screen. Again, let's just tell it where we want it to be saved. And again, we want it in our new folder. I'm just going to actually grab that same file name, but I'm just going to write MP4 at the end of it. And we are on an MP4 format, H.264, which is going to work great for me. The only thing I'm really concerned about here is the subtitle settings. So I'm going to go down to the subtitle settings. I want to export the subtitles. We could export them as separate files, which I've kind of done in that previous step, but I kind of want them to be burnt onto the video. So let's do that. There's something else here from another part of this project. I don't want to re-render this again, so I'm just going to hit the little X to get rid of it. And then I'm going to go add to the render queue. We're going to click render all. And then we've got our clip ready to go. And if I do right click on this, I can go open file location. And it'll show you, I've got my video file, I've got my SRT file, I've got my VTT file. So that's all ready to go. We've done another short clip. And that's really awesome. I probably need to do at least 2 of these a day to keep up to my goal. So let's do it all again. All right, let's go back to timeline 1. And it's funny, in some ways that was a diversion I didn't intend to take. I wasn't going to share that clip, but I think it's a really good one. I'm going to hit the in and out keys on the speed editor to remove that point. And I guess the next one we want to do is actually about the color source, which is really, really basic, but it is kind of useful. Let's go to the color source. Okay, in this case, the point at which I start talking is where the last clip ended is pretty much where I want to start for this one anyway. So let's just go in here. So let's go to the color source. The color source is exactly what it sounds like. We can add a color. And again, we go to add a new source. All right, so there's a little bit of stuff before that. I think we will start just here actually. The color. So that'll be our in point. The color source is exactly what it sounds like. We can add a color. And again, we go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color. I could give this a name. Again, in this case, I don't know what color I'm going to use, so I'll just let it default to color source 3. We can actually adjust the color. We can click on select color. We can choose some of these basic colors. We can pick something from this this color section here. We can make it sort of lighter or darker with this slider over here. We can even save our own custom colors, and this is probably a really good thing to do, and I haven't ever used this, and I'm thinking I should start using this because there are particular colors I use in my branding all the time. But we do also have the values, and again, if you come from any kind of graphic design or web design world, you'll probably recognize some of these things. We've got hue, saturation, and value. We've got red, green, blue, and the alpha channel as well. And you've also got the HTML hex color. So if you know a particular color, I don't know, I might just make something up here, 030FEE, which is apparently a shade of blue. It's completely making that up as I went along, but it is what it is. And again, we can adjust these. So again, probably not the most exciting thing in the world, but incredibly useful. So I'm going to pick that color. I'm going to go OK. One thing that is good to know, and I kind of alluded to it really quickly, if we go back to our select color options, we do have the alpha channel. So alpha is for transparency or opacity, so how see-through something is. Okay, there are actually a couple of extra tips built into this one, but they're going to be too long for our clip, so we'll leave this bit off for a future clip. Alluded to it really quickly. If we go back to our select color options, we do have the alpha channel. Okay, so we don't want to talk about the alpha channel. Let's go back and see where that thought ended. Probably around here somewhere. Well, but incredibly useful. So all right, I think around here. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect at this point in time. We will make further edits as we go along. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go create subclip. And I'm going to double click on our new subclip and we're going to do all of the things again. Again, I probably would save myself a lot of time if I got rid of these extra audio tracks in the main one, but let's, you know, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep doing our thing. So again, I just want to get rid of all of them except the second track. And again, this is kind of all the same audio. There are different audio sort of routing options in OBS, and that's why I have sort of six tracks of audio here, but again, I don't need them. So let's just go backspace, get rid of that. Right click on our tracks and go delete empty tracks. Again, I'll just sync up these two tracks with the lock them together. All right, so let's zoom in. Let's again just drag this waveform out so I can see it a little bit more clearly. It's really, really useful to see a lot more of your waveform. And I'm going to select both of those. Let's do a bit of trimming in. I'll do that with the speed editor. The color source. Okay, I think that's good. We'll move this back to the beginning of the clip. The color source is exactly what it sounds like. We can add a color. And again, we go to add a new source. We go to... Okay, so there's a bit of hesitation there. Add a color. I'm going to put a breakpoint there. And again, we go to add a... So let's get rid of that. It's a bit of a gap for me. Again, I'm going to ripple delete those. And again, I'll just zoom out so you get a better sense of what ripple delete does. So it's going to delete the clips I've selected, but it's also going to connect the ones between them. So let's just hit that magical button. And there we go, it's filled that gap. And again, I might want to adjust the gaps. I might want to put some sort of transition effect in here. We can figure that out later. We go to add a new source. And in fact, I think I will, because you can sort of see my mouth moving in a weird section here. So I think I'm just going to break here. Let's just ripple delete this as well. We go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color. I could give this a name. Again, in this case, I don't know what color I'm going to use, so I'll just let it default to color source 3. We can actually adjust the color. We can click on select color. We can choose some of these basic colors. We can pick something from this this color section here. We can make it sort of lighter or darker with this slider over here. We can even save our own custom colors, and this is probably a really good thing to do, and I haven't ever used this, and I'm thinking I should start using this because there are particular colors I use in my branding all the time. But we do also have the values, and again, if you come from any kind of graphic design or web design world, you'll probably recognize some of these things. We've got hue, saturation, and value. We've got red, green, blue, and the alpha channel as well. And you've also got the HTML hex color. So if you know a particular color, I don't know, I might just make something up here, 03s. The longer I sort of watch this clip, the more I'm wondering how long it actually is. And I guess the thing to note about these sub clips is these time values up here refer to where the sub clip is in the original larger timeline. So I go to the deliver page, and here it's 1 minute 30. So that's not terrible for my purposes. So let's just keep going. 0FEE, which is apparently a shade of blue. It's completely making that up as I went along, but it is what it is. And again, we can adjust these. So again, probably not the most exciting thing in the world, but incredibly useful. Okay, I think that's all right for the moment. Let's go back to the beginning of our clip. Again, I'm going to create a video track above this one. In fact, I know I'm going to need at least 2 of them, so I'm going to do that while I'm here. I might just make this waveform a little bit smaller because I really do want to be able to see what I'm doing up here a little bit more. And again, I realize I say again quite a lot listening to these clips, which I might need to cut some of those out here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the top portion of this live stream and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm holding down the Alt key and just dragging up, and that'll give me another copy of it. And what I want to do here is just adjust the zoom and the position to fill more of this vertical space. And again, I won't necessarily have this on screen for the whole time, but I do want to sort of go to it when I want to point out what I'm doing in the software. And you can sort of see I've got that there. I probably need to zoom in quite a bit more. I think around 9 would be a good place to be. And let's just figure out roughly where the top of this screen is. In fact, yeah, okay. So again, just because I want to obscure what's underneath it, I will try to line that up. And again, we don't need to be perfect at this point in time. The other thing to note is because I have already clipped some of this, I do have the 2 clips and I have selected them both, so they should be both in the same section to do this. All right, that's a good starting point. Let's just see where we want to bring in the screen capture. The color source is exactly what it sounds like. We can add a color. We go to add a new source. Okay, so I don't want it for this first clip, so let's just go in, and again, you could cut it, but I'm just going to adjust the transparency to 0 so we don't see it. This is the point actually where we need to think about where we're positioning things a little bit more. Because
Add a new source, we go to color source.
What I'm actually describing isn't physically visible in this portion of the screen. So let's go back to the beginning of this clip. We want to adjust the X position for starters, and let's just pick a random number. We'll say 200. Yep. Okay. That's probably pretty good, actually. Just need to make sure I don't knock over the green screen behind me while I make adjustments in my chair. I might... Yeah, I think that... Okay, that's pretty good, but I do want to sort of bring this up in the frame a little bit more, make it a little bit more obvious where it is. But again, at some point, you're going to see the video underneath it. So I don't want it too large, although I could always zoom in. In fact, I think we will do that. Let's zoom in a bit more. And again, I'm going to have to tweak all those after I've zoomed, but that's fine. And maybe a little bit further up. Again, I'm kind of using that gap as the endpoint of my screen. So let's just see what that looks like now. See what it sounds like. We can add a color. We go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color. Okay, I think that works pretty well, but we will need to adjust the positioning and potentially the scale of this. Again, let's go back to the beginning of our clip. Let's just make sure we turn on the keyframes for that. And I will open up my my keyframe window here. Just going to go to these keyframes. I'm going to copy them because I kind of want them to stay in the same position until I decide I want to move this.
To add a new source, we go to color source.
So I'll paste that in there, and then we'll move forward a little bit. And I can sort of zoom into the keyframes a little bit more because what the change I'm going to do here is pretty much on the back of that one. So again, let's turn on our position and our zoom, and let's adjust the X position first. So that's a little bit more centered. I actually don't have a problem with where it is in terms of the Y position, so let's just leave that and let's just see what that looks like.
Add a color. We go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color. I could give this a name. Again, in this case, I don't know what color I'm going to use, so I'll just let it default to color source 3.
Okay, that works pretty well. I like that quite a lot. Let's just go back here. I'm going to do that same thing. I'm just going to copy those keyframes.
In this case, I don't know what color I'm going to use.
And just sort of before I hit that OK button, we might zoom out and reposition a little bit. But again, I'm just putting in another keyframe before we get there.
I could give this a name again in
I think around here will be good. And let's move out just a fraction.
Okay. The American spelling of color. I could give this a name again. In this case, I don't know what color.
And I've clearly done something wrong here, so let me just Control Z to undo. Okay.
We go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color.
All right, I'm going to grab this. Again, I probably need to zoom in quite a bit into my keyframe so I can get... Yeah, okay, there we go.
The color. We go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color. I could give this
Okay, I want to copy these keyframes. A name, again, in this case, I don't know. So I'm going to paste this here. Then I'm going to go forward. I'm going to say about here. All right, so at this point, again, let's turn our keyframe on. At this point, we want to probably zoom out a little bit, actually, at this point, because this dialog box is a little bit larger than the one that's about to appear on the screen is a little bit larger than what we've seen previously. So we'll go down to 90. Again, I'm going to have to adjust my X position because you can see me underneath it, which is not, I mean, it's not necessarily a problem. Although I should be doing the Y, not the X, which is something I really struggle with. And I will learn one day, but today is evidently not that day. All right, I think that's okay. I don't know if I adjusted. I don't know what color I'm going to use. So I just want to like double check. So that was 0, and it's still 0. Okay, cool. All right, let's just see what that looks like. Add a color. We go to add a new source. We go to color source with the American spelling of color. I could give this a name. Again, in this case, I don't know what color I'm going to use, so I'll just let it default to color source 3. We can actually adjust the color. We can click on select color. We can choose some of these basic colors. All right, I don't think that's bad. I think that's pretty good, actually. What we do want to do, and again, I might be being too pedantic about this. Color source 3. We can actually adjust the color. We can click on select color. We can choose. All right. So let's just go back to our previous keyframe. And copy that. So I'll just let default color source 3. We can actually I'll paste that previous keyframe in here. Go forward a little bit. And I kind of just want to reposition this, like recenter it a little bit. And again, it's kind of awkward because I'm keyframing before the thing I can actually see on the screen appears, but that's okay. Let's just try 100. That'll be too much. Let's say maybe 80, or actually let's say 40. No, maybe 80 would have been the number. Nope. Okay. All right, I'm just going to try that. Let's just see what that looks like. It may be great, it may be terrible. Color I'm going to use, so I'll just let it default to color source 3. We can actually adjust the color. We can click on select color. We can choose some of these basic colors. We can pick something from this. Okay, that's not great. So let's go back. Again, let me just zoom in so I can actually see that I'm definitely on the right keyframe. All right. All right. Adjust the color. We can click on select color. We can choose some of these basic colors. It's not terrible, but I do kind of want to be a little bit I don't know. I'm going to have a think about that. And I kind of am coming up to my hour-long live stream. So I'm going to get some more coffee. I'm going to just work on this offline and we'll keep working on these clips. Hopefully this has been useful for you. I do need to actually find out where my magical like and subscribe overlay is not working, because it works most of the time and then every now and then it just won't. And I don't know why. It's incredibly annoying.
So, I'm not going to dwell on that right now, though, but thank you so much for being here. I hope this has been useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to learn more about this content. And check out my other show, OBS Obsessed, for more content about working with OBS Studio. But have a great week, and I will talk to you again very, very soon.